Hey everybody, today I'm in Indianapolis and actually I'm walking along Cultural Trail a little bit north on Mass Ave as you get out of downtown. So I'm going to talk about Massachusetts Avenue, or which is we call Mass Ave, in one of the cultural districts here in Indianapolis today. It's without a doubt one of my favorite places in the city. So usually if you need to go someplace to eat or have a drink or just kind of go and hang out, this is one of the places that comes to mind for me. So we're going to get into the details of this place, so stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Jason Compton with the Compton Home Group. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about places like Mass Ave in Indianapolis or any of the cities or towns surrounding Indianapolis, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and also tap that little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. Now we have people reaching out to us from all over the country with questions about places like Mass Ave, or where they should be living in Indianapolis, what would be the best fit for them, or even some of the cities and towns that surround Indianapolis. So if you have questions at all about anything regarding Indianapolis or any of the surrounding cities and towns, reach out any way that you know how. We'll always have your back with those questions, and we'll certainly have your back when it comes time for you to make your move to Indy. So again, today I'm actually downtown Indianapolis and I'm walking along the Cultural Trail here. You can maybe see a little bit behind me. Cultural Trail actually connects a number of different places throughout Indianapolis. So you'll see people riding scooters, walking, riding their bikes. I can see a couple people on scooters coming up my way right now, so I gotta watch out for these people. But I am along Massachusetts Avenue. I'm actually not way north on Mass Ave, but I am up close to what we call the North Split, which is up just behind me, where there's a lot of construction going on right now. And the North Split is where I-65 and I-70 coming through Indianapolis, they actually merge there and you split off from maybe the highway that you're on to a different highway. So anyway, you've got some options through there. However, that has always been considered kind of the north end of Mass Ave. And over the years, the north end of Mass Ave has been a little bit more rough. So now, with the addition of the Bottle Works district and all of the stores and the shops, restaurants just to the north of me here, with the addition of all of those, it's actually become really pretty nice. Mass Ave is a super cool cultural district in Indianapolis. It's exceptionally walkable. It's really relatively easy, I think, to find a parking space here, and some people might argue against that, but there's plenty of parking space here. You just have to have a little bit of patience, and of course you have to have the idea that you might have to walk a little bit from your parking place to wherever it is you want to go in Mass Ave. But there would be plenty of places to go along Mass Ave. Now Massachusetts Avenue, like I said, I'm kind of at the northern end of it here, where the North Split is behind me, the highway, but it actually continues on diagonally towards the northeast, out of downtown Indianapolis. And actually Monument Circle is only a mile from where I'm standing here, and you can kind of see a little bit of downtown in the background here. So it's exceptionally close to Monument Circle, right in the center of downtown. But Mass Ave continues to the northeast a really good long way. It becomes US 36, and which is actually Pendleton Pike over on the east side of Indianapolis, and continues on outside of Indianapolis. US 36 does. But when people say Mass Ave, that's not really the part of Mass Ave that they mean. They mean this little stretch from pretty close to downtown proper Indianapolis up to where I started walking here just a couple minutes ago up near the North Split. But all along this part of Mass Ave, it is truly incredible how many different restaurants, shops, and bars there are. So when I say it's a cultural district in Indianapolis, the cultural districts in Indianapolis, they do vary in the types of things that they offer, but Mass Ave is going to be one of the cultural districts that's kind of the nightlife hotspot, or just the hotspot for foodies, the hotspot for people who want unique shops, want unique places to go. Mass Ave is going to have so many of those particular places. And as you can see behind me here, got kind of loud there for a minute because there's some construction going on, of course, but Mass Ave is still evolving. So years and years ago, I guess not that many years ago, but when my wife and I met, she lived along Massachusetts Avenue. And I'm actually gonna cross the street here. Not directly on it, it was actually a little bit off of it on Park, but she lived in one of these super cool old buildings. Actually, it used to be a parachute factory years and years ago, but it was just down the street here. This is actually college, and just a little bit to the west of that. But when she lived down here, and this was, like I said, years ago, Mass Ave was still a happening place. It was a place for people to come to try new restaurants, established restaurants, some of the best restaurants in the whole Indianapolis area. They are right here along Mass Ave, or if not directly on Mass Ave, just off over there on roads like College or some of the nearby roads. Tons and tons of places to go like that. But as I said, she actually lived down in this area. So while it is one of those spots in Indianapolis that's exceptionally popular for people to go, it's a destination, it's a cultural district, has a lot to do. I mean, right now it doesn't look like it's terribly crowded because it's middle of the week and kind of late morning. So you might have some lunch goers here and there, but this place will really start taking off when you get into Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and especially in the afternoon and the evenings. It will be absolutely packed with cars, it'll be packed with people walking, and really all throughout the entire year. It doesn't even have to necessarily be great weather, like it is right now. This is being filmed in the summer, so it's actually kind of hot right now. Just walking around here a little bit sweating, but even in the winter, you're gonna have people going all over the place with everything that it has to offer here. But normally places like that, it's really difficult to live in a location that has all of that. But Mass Ave actually is one of the cultural districts where that's not the case. You have a tremendous number of opportunities to live either along Mass Ave or just off of it in a number of different ways. So when I say my wife actually lived down here on Massachusetts Avenue, just off of it, she lived in really an apartment complex, but it was each of those apartments used to be, like I said, a parachute factory. So it had been seriously renovated since then and changed into apartments, and then they were sold off, and now they're all condos, so individually owned. So she rented one, actually multiple units in that particular building for a number of years. And it was just one of the coolest old, very industrial feel type building, and super, super unique. But she rented that place, but a lot of people actually owned a lot of those condos in there. They weren't very big. We're talking 2-bedroom, 2-bath, maybe 1,100 square feet or so, that type of condo. So, depending on where you're coming from, that actually might be a lot of room. But compared to some of the homes that you're gonna find all around Indianapolis or surrounding Indianapolis, that is relatively small. In fact, coming up on it here, just over my left shoulder, right over there. So when she moved from there, she moved obviously outside of this Mass Ave area because we were together, and we moved to a different location. But we really, really regret not buying that condo. We really probably should have years and years ago, because it's just such a cool location. It was then, and it's even more so now, we feel like. But outside of places like that, these older buildings, or even some of the newer ones, because the ones back here, those are relatively new, even though they have a look to be very old or industrial. They really aren't terribly old. They're not 100 years old or anything approaching that kind of number. But outside of buildings like that, where you can have apartments or condos or townhomes or some super unique ones, and by the way, super, super expensive ones, there's some just up here off to my right, which going by them, these little brick buildings, pretty unassuming when you're walking past them to think that there's really anything significant in there, but those are close to $1 million condos there with rooftop gardens and just unbelievable renovations on the inside too. So if you have options like that, you also have options like these homes just off to my left over here, which are exceptionally unusual. They're super cool, they're much newer. These are all built really inside the last 20 years. So they are made to look like they've been there a long time, but they really haven't been there for too terribly long. And we're talking under 20 years or so. But outside of that, you can get into some more historical districts off Mass Ave. This whole area of Mass Ave is actually part of a neighborhood called Chatham Arch. And if you were to get into Chatham Arch proper, where all of the homes are, you would have to walk across the street here and a little bit to the west and the north, and you're gonna get into a residential neighborhood that looks just like a classic old residential neighborhood with homes in there that are 100 years old in some cases, some that have been torn down and rebuilt, and then some that have been still 100 years old, but they've been so heavily renovated that they're just super, super modernized now in all kinds of different styles. But the outside, the general architecture in a place like Chatham Arch is really pretty well maintained. It's made to look like it's been there a long time because the neighborhood has. So when people want to live in a location like Mass Ave or very close to a cultural district like this, sometimes it feels like the only options that you do have are these apartments or tiny condos or mega expensive, like the ones that just talked about a second ago, condos, where you're spending $800,000 up to $1 million or so, and really not getting a tremendous amount, especially if you're a family of 4 or 5, probably not ideal. Any one of these places around Mass Ave, probably not ideal for you. But you get into a place like Chatham Arch, and it gives you a few more options. So you can get a single family home, you can get a yard, albeit not a big yard, but you could get a backyard, it could have a fence, and you could have just a little bit of privacy back there and also a little bit of security, for your kids in a place where they can actually play. Although probably still not ideal. It's not gonna be a half acre or a quarter acre yard or something like that, but it is certainly an option. Now you get just a little bit to the south where I'm walking right now, you'll eventually get out of that Chatham Arch neighborhood, and then you can get into neighborhoods like Lockerbie Square, which is the oldest neighborhood in Indianapolis, just to the south. Really neat neighborhood. Obviously the homes in there, if it's the oldest neighborhood, can be over 100 years old, so you can get into some homes that probably don't need to be standing any longer or really need a whole lot of work, and you have to want that particular kind of place or that particular kind of lifestyle in order to get into a neighborhood like that. And it is a little costly as well, just given its location. Now the homes are super cool, most of them on the outside. They look awesome. They're in that particular style. If you got a home that was built 120 years ago, like that neighborhood's really kept in that really same vein of architecture. So it's not spoiled. It is really pretty cool. They even have some cobble streets there in Lockerbie Square, which is pretty awesome. The original cobble streets when they were built over 100 years ago. That's always pretty cool to see. I'm coming up here on East Street in Mass. This is a particularly busy intersection. You'll see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people out here walking around on a Friday night, Saturday night, just going out to the bars, going out to eat, and just coming down here just to kind of enjoy people watching, honestly. Getting down here where the thick of it is, right in the mix. So you can see I'm getting a little bit closer to downtown proper, only about a half a mile or so from here, so a super close walk. Lockerbie Square is just down that way. Now there are several other neighborhoods close by that could offer an opportunity like a Lockerbie Square, a Chatham Arch as well, although they're gonna be a little bit smaller than that. Neighborhoods like St. Joseph or Renaissance Place, those are nearby, but again, a little bit smaller than those others. But given the location of those neighborhoods being so close to everything it's got to offer down here in Mass Ave, you kind of need to want to take advantage of that, or maybe you want to just be near downtown Indianapolis because you work downtown Indianapolis and it's a convenient location. This would be an awesome place for a young couple. Married, no kids, or you're single, no kids, fantastic. Just a million different options that you might have down here. Of course, you can't get in here cheaply, but if you have the means, then this would be a pretty cool place to consider. But again, back to the families, I'm not so sure it would be the absolute best place for families just because of how busy it is, how much room you would realistically have for your family in that house, and then of course outside that house, and then walking around down here. You really need to like that urban lifestyle, that city lifestyle, in order to get everything you can across the street, in order to get everything that you can out of a place like the cultural district of Mass Ave. But this is absolutely one of my favorite places to go, so it doesn't matter if you live in Indianapolis anywhere, it doesn't matter if you live in Carmel or Fishers or way on the south side in Greenwood. When you live in the Indianapolis metro, Mass Ave you're gonna hear people talk about, and you're probably going to want to come to this particular area at some point in time when you live here. You'll need to have an excuse to do so. So either for a concert, like the Murat Theater is really close here, or a play. You've got lots of theater options in this particular area as well, so you don't have to necessarily like the shops, the bars, the restaurants. You could be in that particular department as well and still have a reason to come to a place like Massachusetts Avenue, Mass Ave. So when you live around the Indy area, you're gonna hear about it and you're probably gonna wanna experience it. One of my absolute favorite places. So if you have a question about anything Mass Ave, anything Indianapolis related, or any of the cities and towns surrounding it, then make sure you reach out any way that you know how. And until the next one, we'll see you later.